The first moment I knew the Timberwolves were for real, that they were serious about being a real NBA franchise, was not when they sold the team to A-Rod and Mark Lowry. It was not when Tim Connelly came, and we'll get to that news in just a second. This happened in January. The Wolves hired a man named Marquise Watts, an executive from Clutch Sports, to be their new chief experience officer. Let's be honest. Glenn Taylor doesn't give a fuck about the athlete experience. Like, they don't care. But this guy and A-Rod and Mark Lowry do, with the task of redefining the player experience in Minnesota. That was a big shot, huge deal at Clutch, who came from Under Armour, who came from Adidas. So let me just recap really quickly what Watt said in January when he was hired, just to get us to this place where, like, they weren't playing around when they said changes were coming. He said this leadership here in Minnesota is serious about building a world-class organization. There is much to untap, much to explore, culturally and experientially for our players and the community. This is just the beginning, and there is a lot to look forward to. So we're not going to get into how important it is to have somebody in the front office or in charge that's connected to Clutch, considering that Clutch represents pretty much all of the major players in the NBA, or at least has their fingers in every deal. They're like the mob of the NBA, right? Like, Ant Edwards is a Clutch client. LeBron James' best friend started Clutch. But I will remind you what I said at the time. I said this is a symbol and a sign that A-Rod and Mark Lowry are dead serious about changing the culture of this team. His job is not only to cater to existing players, but to make Minnesota a place that people actually want to go in free agency. That's a hard thing to do. A very hard thing to do, given that it's cold, it's white. I mean, and there's not a lot of culture around except for, like, fish and, like, ice and all kinds of shit. Anyway, ice fishing, exactly. They have, I think they have, this bungee jumping thing into the ice. I know that I got offered this near Mall of America. They have a Mall of America. Like, how white bread can you get, right? Like, Minnesota. We're going to fix this, though, he says. How do you do that? You roll out the red carpet for guys. You make sure the team environment's tight. You make sure you got the right people making decisions. And then you have a dump truck of cash ready to give it to as many people as you can to build that team. And then you've got big connections to sponsorship deals at the end of it. I love that. I love being right, because that's exactly what ended up happening, because the new look Wolves signed the Nuggets' top executive, Tim Connelly. Just stole him right out from under the Nuggets. He didn't even want to leave. He was like, made me a deal I couldn't resist, kind of a thing. Woj reported it. This is the bomb. This is the sound of the Woj bomb. Denver Nuggets president Tim Connelly has agreed to a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves that will make him one of the NBA's highest compensated executives. Significant coup for the Minnesota franchise. Nice editorial, Woj. Significant coup. That was his own little sentence. I'm going to add something to this. Anyway, 5 years, $40 million. But more importantly, because $8 million's a lot, but it's not as much as Daryl Morey's getting. But the most important thing is he's getting equity in the team. It's the first time ever that's happened. Connolly, beloved in Denver, did not want to leave Denver. But you do not change. I don't even know how much money that's going to be worth, but I'm sure it's life-changing, legacy-altering money. And for those who don't know who Tim Connelly is and what he did, like, to quote, if you're a Marvel fan, to quote and paraphrase Obadiah Stane from Iron Man, Connelly was able to build a conference finals team in a cave with a box of scraps.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Do it! How come we can't be a conference finals team? So what did he do? Here's a short list of some of the scraps he was able to turn into gold. Jokic at 41, second rounder. Bones Highland, 26, all rookie team. Michael Porter Jr. at 14, max player. Jamal Murray, number 7, all pro. Markieff Morris at 51. Also, Yusuf Nurkic, who's our big man in Portland. Gary Harris, Malik Beasley, all outside of the lottery. Denver desperately wanted to keep him. But they knew, we can't give this man equity. You can't find a person that says a bad word about him. He's as close to being as universally beloved in the NBA as you can get. Everybody, when you're in the league long enough, people got bad things to say about you. And he's built a really good team out of nothing in a market even smaller and wider than Minnesota. Perfect fit, honestly. He's like, I know, I had this blueprint. I can do this. And if you're a Wolves fan, you cannot wait until Glenn Taylor is all the way out of this place. Releases his cold, bony little hands from this franchise that he's trying to choke it out. Every little bit of power he still has left, he's trying to just finagle. And it also shows that even though A-Rod and Mark Lowry don't truly have control of the franchise yet, they're still pulling the strings. And they're still setting the pieces in place for this team to be good for a really, really long time. And now, when they really take over, sky is the limit and you know that we can't I wish I had that music, but we don't. Anyway,